Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, first responders in Refugio County cleaned up a crash site on Highway 202 at FM 2441 this morning. Several shootings occurred across the country on Father's Day and Juneteenth weekend, where a state trooper in Pennsylvania was killed. And the National Weather Service has put into place excessive heat warnings for all 6 counties in the region.
In addition to that, we also have a big story coming out of the tropics. As you see right about here, we have Tropical Storm Brett that came alive at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Brett, everyone is in agreement, will be headed toward the Caribbean, and then we'll have to be watching it, but it's a very early start to the hurricane season. I'll have all the latest coming up in just a moment. Don?
Plus, a federal judge has ordered Donald Trump to remain silent about the disclosure of evidence in the classified documents case. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. James Munoz and Karina Garcia have the night off. Refugio County Sheriff's deputies working a crash on State Highway 202 at FM 2441 this morning. That area was closed for at least an hour. State Highway 202 now reopened for traffic. As Americans celebrated Juneteenth and Father's Day, the weekend proved to be no holiday from gun violence. Multiple shootings occurred across gatherings large and small across the country and took the life of a state trooper in Pennsylvania.
I've never been in anything like this, honestly.
At least one person was killed, 22 others injured at a shooting Saturday night during a Juneteenth celebration in Willowbrook, Illinois. That's about 21 miles west of Chicago. The DuPage County Sheriff's Office says deputies were on site to monitor the event, but around 12:25 a.m., they were called to respond to another incident, but immediately returned when they heard gunfire erupt.
We were all just out, and next thing you know, shots just got going off, and everybody ran, and it was chaos.
Investigators say the shooting took place in a parking lot, and an unknown number of suspects fired multiple rounds into the crowd. No arrests have been made.
The motive behind this incident is unclear.
In St. Louis, a 17-year-old male is dead and 9 others injured after a shooting at a party in an office building. St. Louis Metropolitan Police say the victims range in age from 15 to 19.
Additionally, a 17-year-old female was possibly trampled coming down the stairs, running from the scene, and has serious injuries to her spine.
Investigators say they found multiple weapons at the scene, including an AR-15 style rifle. Officers say a 17-year-old suspect is in custody. 2 people are dead, several others hurt after a shooting at the campgrounds near the Gorge Amphitheater near Quincy, Washington, about 160 miles east of Seattle.
It's really sad that happened too. Like, people were just trying to come out here to have fun.
Officers responded around 8:23 p.m. Saturday during the first night of an electronic dance music festival. The Grant County Sheriff's Office says the shooter shot 4 people in the campground, then continued firing into the crowd. CNN affiliate Como says when officers caught up to the suspect, they fired their weapons, injuring the alleged shooter, who survived.
We don't know what the motives were or what the intentions were of the shooter.
2 state troopers were shot in Pennsylvania over the weekend. One of the troopers was killed. It happened during a manhunt that included several shootouts between police and a suspect who was eventually killed. In the Crossroads, Goliad Mayor Brenda Moses' husband banned from City Hall by a 3-2 vote of City Council persons during their June 4th meeting. The Goliad Advance Guard reports the City Council planning an investigation into a verbal altercation May 10th between the mayor's husband, Jason Moses, and Goliad Finance Officer Sherry Kunstler. Jason Moses banned from City Hall until the council has received the results of the investigation. Ganado Police Department asking for the public's assistance for information on a pile of trash that was dumped in the open area in the north part of Ganado over the weekend. Any information on this can be anonymously called into the Ganado Police Department at 361-771-2800 or by calling the Jackson County Sheriff's Office dispatch non-emergency phone number at 361-782-3541. The National Weather Service has excessive heat warnings for all 6 counties in the region. The National Weather Service reports dangerously hot conditions with heat index values from 115 to 123 degrees expected until 8 o'clock tonight. The Salvation Army of Victoria's cooling station at 1302 North Lewis Street opens when the temperature rises above 95 degrees. Salvation Army of Victoria Commanding Officer Captain Kenny Jones tells us they are averaging 4 to 6 people in the cooling station daily. And now let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. And Mac, with all this heat talk going on, there is activity going on close to the tropics.
Yes, all of a sudden, the heat around the world, not just here, I mean, it's not just us, the heat around the world is making a major significant event in the tropics. I saw the heat index at 117 this afternoon. Right about now, it's 95. But other than the heat, we've got a tropical storm in the Atlantic, and we're going to be tracking that coming up in just a few minutes. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. Multiple tornadoes swept through Mississippi overnight, killing 1 and leaving nearly 24 hurt. State emergency workers still working with counties to assess the damage from storms in which high temperatures and hail in some areas accompany tornadoes. The deaths and most injuries came from a town in East Mississippi's Jasper County. This morning, the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency said more than 49,000 homes were without power. Funeral services took place in New Jersey Saturday for an 8-year-old from Honduras who died while in U.S. Border Patrol custody. Anadith Tanay Reyes Alvarez died last month in Texas. A medical examiner's report showed she died from a heart problem. However, Alvarez's mother believes doctors should have done more to save her daughter's life.
She actually begged to please take care of my baby, and they refused.
The Washington Post reports the Department of Homeland Security has removed the chief medical officer with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Authorities tell the Post David Tarantino was moved to a different job. The agency still investigating her death. Governor Greg Abbott Monday approved a record $1.19 billion in new spending for the Texas A&M University system, including money to freeze undergraduate tuition and fees for Texas residents for the next 2 years. KBTX reports the new spending, which was contained in several bills, is the first time in history the Texas A&M system has gone over $1 billion in new funding from the state. A federal judge has ordered former President Trump and his co-defendant Walt Nauta to keep quiet about evidence given to the defense in the classified documents case. He pleaded not guilty last week to 37 counts. Prosecutors say he mishandled top secret documents after he left office and obstructed the investigation. Special counsel Jack Smith asked the judge to prevent them from disclosing material presented in the trial's discovery phase. The judge specifically prohibited sharing discovery materials with the public, the media, or online without approval of the court. The Chisholm Trail Heritage Museum is hosting a Juneteenth celebration tonight. The celebration will take place alongside the Black Cowboys, an American Story exhibit. 2 speakers will discuss the history and importance of Juneteenth to the country and in our area. And this brings us to your viewer poll this afternoon. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's our question. Did you attend any Juneteenth events over the weekend? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. We'll have an update on what you and your neighbors are saying on 25 News Now at 6. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Now hit the like button and click the notification bell. That means you're subscribed to Crossroads Today on the YouTube. And stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. A search underway for a missing tourist submersible off the coast of Newfoundland. Also ahead, almost 2,000 nurses now on strike in Oregon. Tonight, a search is underway for a missing submersible that carried people to view the wreckage of the Titanic. The U.S. Coast Guard said a search was underway Monday off the coast of Newfoundland. Ocean Gate Expeditions owns the missing vehicle. In 2021, Ocean Gate Expeditions began an annual voyage to chronicle the deterioration of the Titanic. The expeditions would include about 40 paid tourists who would take turns operating sonar equipment in the 5-person submersible. A 72-hour ceasefire now in effect in Sudan following intense fighting between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The latest truce comes as the United Nations hosted a conference today to raise critically needed funds to support relief efforts both inside and near Sudan. They need $253 million, with the South Sudan response needing $96 million. Figures show that international donors have only contributed 10% of the total figure. Nearly 1,800 nurses and clinicians in Oregon now on strike. The union representing hospital workers say they're negotiating over a new contract. They are asking for better pay, better health care, better staffing, and more sick and paid time off. However, the union and the hospital are not able to reach an agreement so far. The strike is set to end Friday. Providence Hospital says it has replacement nurses coming in and is confident it can continue to provide for patients. Today is Juneteenth, time to honor the emancipation of enslaved black people in the U.S., but there's still a struggle for equality, and it includes health and access to health care.
In the U.S., black infants die before their first birthday at higher rates than white infants. Black women die during or soon after pregnancy more often than white women. And the life expectancy for those who are black is significantly less.
It's not just a race thing, but the race thing is real and it's consistent and it is rooted in the reasons that we recognize Juneteenth today.
Dina Chisholm researches health equity at Nationwide Children's Hospital. She says that while some progress has been made over generations, the U.S. still has a long way to go.
When we leave folks behind, we create a situation where not everyone has an equal opportunity for success in school, and not everyone has an equal opportunity for success in jobs.
Chisholm says there are significant statistical gaps in health outcomes and healthcare access for the black community, those who live in rural areas, and for people who have a low income. To change this, she says we first have to recognize the disparities, and after awareness comes action.
Identify where the ways we're doing things impact populations differently in a way that generates differential outcomes, and then figure out how to fix it.
Chisholm says everyone can play a role in making impactful changes to health for all, no matter their job.
You, the doctor, and you, the nurse, and you, the teacher, and you, the social worker, and you, the member of the community, are all part of what we can do to close that gap.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
Governor Greg Abbott says he's never seen the decimation of a town like he saw in Perryton. The governor made those comments after taking a tour of the Texas Panhandle town where a tornado hit Thursday, killing 3 people and injuring 160 others. He thanked emergency responders and healthcare workers who worked around the clock. He signed a disaster declaration to help with the rebuilding process.
I've never seen the level of decimation to a town as I've seen today. What the people in this area have gone through over the past couple of days is nothing short of horrific. At the same time, it's encouraging, maybe even inspiring, to see the way that the community has come together, worked together, helped each other to begin the process of rebuilding.
The National Weather Service says the tornado that hit Perryton was an EF3 with 140-mile-per-hour winds. It was on the ground for more than 6 miles and was nearly 900 yards wide.
A very impressive storm. That was Thursday night. Friday night, the same complex rolled through northeast Texas, And in places like Lufkin, Longview, they had 80, 90-mile-an-hour winds with trees down and roofs gone and all kinds of hail damage. Power was out most of the weekend there. For us, it's just the heat. Well, not just the heat. And 98 was our high today. 81 was the low. Yes, it's going to stay on the warm side, but the big news now, the tropics are waking up, and we'll be talking about that in just a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, the heat is on. Right now, it's still 98 degrees out there, so it is pretty rough. Get a load of this. San Antonio at 104 set a new record for today, and I believe Austin will come in with a new record as well. These are the high temperatures over the state. I'm running out of numbers here, and that's today. Now, tomorrow, they're going to be maybe a degree or more hotter. And the thing is, there's not a lot of change in sight. As a matter of fact, I was looking through the 10-day forecast, and so we've got another week, maybe more, but just what I'm saying is don't be waiting for this to go away. We just have to learn to live with it while it is here. Now, of course, right about now, while we're down here, we had another big fire of thunderstorms that fired up just within the last hour. Now, these are called pulse thunderstorms. In other words, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, and then all of a sudden you get to what's called the convective breaking temperature, and these big thunderstorms pop up rapidly into the atmosphere, produce a lot of rain, heavy weather. Right about now, it's getting close, right through Junction and Mason, right about there. So if you happen to be going out to Kerrville, you might run into this stuff. I'm imagining that it'll be in Fredericksburg probably within an hour, and then, you know, the sun goes down and that should settle down. Well, the big news is that Brett has formed in the Atlantic. We have our second tropical storm of the season. Here is Brett. It's at 40 miles an hour. It's moving west at 21. Here it is. And here are the computer models that predict its path. And you can see to right about here, which is maybe 3 days, it's in very solid agreement is where it's going. Then after that, it sort of widens up. Right about now, we've got computer models going this way, and this way. I'm going to say the following. I believe it's going to be curling to the north and then out into the Atlantic. I'm not saying that it's over, but let me show you why. This is the future tracker, and you can see the spin. You can see the spin right about there. You can see how the winds go through the islands over Puerto Rico, and then it breaks out into the Atlantic right about here. But that's 7 days from now. And if that happens, it's really going to start doing that turn. Now, that's not the official forecast. Let's just say the following. For about 3 days, we know it's going to the Caribbean. After that, all eyes on the east need to be watching to see what Brett is going to do. For those of you in Lavaca, Port Lavaca, getting up at 8:30, 83 at 6 in the morning, that's that's the other side of this heat wave, is that it never cools down. Looking at a high of 94, and of course you've got the nice sea breeze down there. 79 the low in the Cuero area, but getting up to 102. And so, yeah, there's no real significant improvement in our weather pattern. We're on the sunny side, on the hot side, and of course the heat index, which you now know about, will be hovering at about 115 through this entire week. So when does it change? Probably, well, let me put it this way. October sounds really good right about now. That's your 7-day forecast. Want to remind everybody that we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today right on top of your phone. We'll toss it back to Don.
Mac, thank you. And coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, it's becoming harder and more expensive to get homeowners insurance. The reasons why after the break. Markets are closed today because of the Juneteenth federal holiday. Also in business, homeowners insurance becoming more expensive and more difficult to find because of climate change, rising costs to rebuild or make repairs, and an increase in the premiums used by insurers to limit risks. In Florida, major insurance companies have left, leaving homeowners to pay premiums nearly 4 times higher. Obviously, hurricane risk is part of Florida's problem. And in California, State Farm and Allstate no longer writing new homeowner policies in the Golden State, partly because of the increased risk posed to homes by wildfires. Ahead of World Refugee Day, some of the world's biggest companies promising to help thousands of refugees in Europe find new jobs. More than 40 corporations, including Amazon, Marriott, and Hilton, are committing to hire more than 13,000 refugees in Europe over the next 3 years. They say they'll help with things like job training for tens of thousands. Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast. Plus, Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth, led her annual Walk of Freedom in Fort Worth today. You to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV, and on your cell phone, search Crossroads Today Plus. The grandmother of Juneteenth, Dr. Opal Lee, took her place front and center for her annual Walk of Freedom in Fort Worth today. The 96-year-old led the 2.5-mile walk, there she is, through the city's south side. The distance represents the 2.5 years it took for news of the Emancipation Proclamation to reach enslaved people in Texas. Dr. Lee spent years advocating for Juneteenth to become a federal holiday. Lee says we have to work together to get rid of the disparities in the U.S.
And I'm just delighted to be out here and hoping these young people are aware that we're walking for freedom. Okay? None of us are free until we're all free, and we aren't free yet.
Dr. Lee says she plans to continue to lead the yearly June 19th walk as long as she is able. And there's somebody who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk.
98 years old doing 2 miles, that's pretty
amazing.
impressive.
That is amazing.
You know, I have a hard time.
In this heat, too.
Oh, my gosh, the heat. It was, you know, I was in Port Lavaca Friday for the Juneteenth, and at least the sea breeze was helping.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? Honestly, sundown with a little shot, it was very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's the food was smelling good. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
That's
all the
true.
barbecue pits were going there. So, folks, there's no real relief. You know that it's hot, it's humid. We just need to live with it. Of course, our headline today is the fact that we have a tropical storm in June, and that's pretty early in the season down in the Atlantic, and we'll certainly be tracking it for you. But try and stay cool as best you can. That's all I can tell you.
All right, Mac, thank you, and thanks for being with us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight is next.